Welcome to another episode of A Figure Focus. I'm your host, Ephraim Egbelli, CPA, Managing Director of EFS Group PLLC, and also the starter of this amazing podcast. And today we have an amazing episode coming. This is the beauty edition, right? A lot of you who are out there are into the beauty, and we're going to talk a lot about that, right? And we got A-Leaf's very own Rian Strain, CEO of
Naked Skincare and Wax and Spa.
It just left me just a moment, but it's all good. How's it going?
It is going good. Thank you. What about you?
It's going good. So I want to say thank you for coming because you came directly from just doing a facial.
Work. Yeah.
And you're here, and I really appreciate that.
Yeah, of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes. I know we've been speaking about, doing this for like about a month or so.
Yes.
And one of the reasons I wanted to do it because you have so many different experiences and stories and everything. But before we jump into the episode, what we like to do here is we like to tell everybody, just an introduction of who you are and where you come from and all that good stuff.
Yeah. So, again, my name is Rian Strain. I'm from Houston, Texas. I went to Hastings in A-Leaf, did 2 years at TSU. My major was theater, and then I changed it to telecommunication and broadcasting. Then that didn't work out. I actually was stripping while I was in college.
Okay.
And it was to pay for college. And then I started kind of failing in school. So I ditched that and went to acting school. I did that for a while. I did some local plays around Houston with Ensemble Theater. I used to host a local TV show here, some internet commercials. Then from that, I went to modeling, and from modeling, I used to do my makeup, for like photo shoots and things like that. And I had the other girls, they would ask me to do their makeup, and people were saying I should do makeup. So I was like, man, I think I need a little more practice with this. I didn't think I was that good because I had people ask me to do their makeup for their weddings, and I was like, oh, I think that's like a lot, know. So I was like, maybe I should go to school for this. So I looked up beauty school and aesthetics came up. And I went to the school. Of course, the counselors, how they do. They're like, oh, yeah, this is makeup, blah, blah. They sold me that it was about makeup. Man, I get in that class and they're talking about the bones in the face and all kinds of anatomy and things like that. And so I was like, wait a minute, they played me. This is really not about makeup. This is about skincare. So, but it was very interesting and I stuck with it. And that was 15 years ago.
Wow.
Yes. And so I graduated school, crazy. Didn't do so well in school. I didn't like being there, but I was really good at doing facials. Every time people would come for services at the school, my teacher would always call me. I would have to hide, literally, because everybody always wanted me. And I was always told I was good with my hands. But it was crazy because my teacher, we were kind of like the class clown and things like that. And to this day, I still talk to my aesthetic teacher. But they just thought, no one ever saw this. I didn't even see this, this point, But I graduated. I worked for a couple of spas before I started my own business. And now here I am. I've had my own business for about 12 years now.
That's an amazing story.
Yeah.
You've had a lot of different experiences, and I think that's what has helped you become successful in your business today.
Yeah.
One of the things that, a lot of things stood out about your story, but one of the things that stood out to me was that before you started your business, you worked for other people. And I think a lot of people in these days, right, when they're starting their business, they jump right in, right? And I always say that it's important to get some tutelage, right, from somebody, some mentorship, right?
Yes.
And you actually did that instead of, what made you want to go work for somebody versus just starting immediately?
So it's crazy. I remember in class, my teacher, she would ask everyone, like, what does everyone want to do when they graduate? And literally the whole class was saying, open my own spa, have a mobile spa, mobile waxing. Everyone was just like, do their own thing, be a boss. And I was the only one that was like, I just want to work for the biggest spa in Houston. And then everyone's looking at me like, you know what I'm saying? It's so crazy. And it's so funny because all of those girls, no one is really practicing aesthetics. Like they didn't, continue on. But yeah, I just love being a part of a team. I like teamwork. I like customer service. I like being of service to people.
Mm,
And I just didn't want to take on that responsibility of doing it on my own.
right.
So I just wanted to work with someone. I just wanted to
Yeah.
be a part of a team, and I really enjoyed it. But starting off, I wasn't that good at it. I was good at doing facials, but I wasn't good at like selling people products and
Right.
things. I was very nervous. I didn't have the lingo, on
Mm-hmm.
how to do that. I didn't know how to retain clients. I just knew how to be nice and do a good
Mm,
job. And now I see in business, it's more than just being nice,
right.
and good customer service. I mean, you have to make the company money, you
Mm-hmm.
have to sell products and um, get the clients to come back. I look at it, I always joke and say I'm kind of like a doctor, I
Yeah.
have good bedside manner. And it's like, a doctor, when you go to a doctor's office, if you go in for something, they prescribe you,
Mm-hmm.
medicine, of course, to come back, but they're
Right.
giving you what you came in for. You came in with a problem and they're there to solve it. And
Mm.
that's what I'm here for as well.
Nice. So you're saying that whenever you were working in those 2 years for
Hmm.
your mentor, essentially, like you were doing a good job with the facials, but as far as selling, that was really hard for you to do. But then whenever you started your own business, you probably turned into like a sales wizard.
Man, yeah, I had to get it. So like the first job, that place, it's no longer open, but it was really big on like memberships. The
Okay.
type of places where they really push you to sell memberships.
Hmm.
And I just didn't like that. I was kind of
Right.
scared. I remember walking the client to the front before they checking out, and I was just really timid, and I would talk low, and
Hmm.
and nobody bought anything because they knew I wasn't confident in selling it.
Right.
So I got fired. I got fired. I remember I cried leaving that place because I
Yeah.
really liked it. I really liked the people. And then from there, I went to another spa, which was like number one in Houston for a while. It was in Clear Lake. It was a small business.
Mm.
So I really learned a lot from those people,
Were you
man.
living in Houston and going to Clear Lake?
Yes,
Oh
I was
wow.
living on Highway 6, driving to Clear
Whoa.
Lake. Yes, and I worked there for 2 years. I loved it. I loved it. I learned
Wow.
so much. I actually took a lot that I learned from there into my own practice. Like they were
Mm.
very big on customer service, very big on retaining clients.
Hmm.
It was. I mean, it was wonderful.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So then, like, because you said earlier, right, that your biggest goal was to work for like the biggest spa, right?
Hmm.
But
Hmm.
what made you say, you know what, I think I can do this, and I want to go do this and be an entrepreneur?
I didn't. So shoot, I never said that. So like 2 years, of course, driving way to Clear Lake from Highway 6. It was no growth. It was a
Yeah.
small business. Although they were big, with
Hmm.
clientele, it was kind of small.
Right.
So I remember the owner, him and his wife owned it, and he was also an engineer. So he would get off of work and
Ah.
come there and work the front desk. It was,
Yeah.
like that. So it really wasn't any room for growth. I've grown to like the head esthetician, you know what I'm
Hmm.
saying? So that was just it. And I had a girlfriend that called. She was a hairstylist for about 16 years at the time. And she called, and I was in my bed thinking, I was like, man, I have this money saved up. I wanted to buy a townhouse. But I was
Hmm.
like, would I be able to keep that up,
Right.
working there and, doing that? I just didn't know what to do. And then she called and said, hey, are you still, doing facials? I said, yeah. She said, I got a place. It's in an office space on Hillcroft. You
Mm.
can rent a room and do that, and I
Mm.
could do hair in the other room. So I was thinking like, wow, this at that time, I don't recall no one doing like, being in office spaces like
Right.
suites and doing that. So I was like, wow, how am I going to do a facial? In an
Yeah.
office space, I just couldn't picture it. So she was like, I'm going to come get you and take you over there so you can see the place. So she brought me over there, and when I saw the place, I couldn't imagine it. But she was like, we can put a couch here. It had a front area. She was like, we could do this. And I'll put a sink in here. And I'm just looking like, we're on the fourth floor in the office space on Hillcroft. How?
Yeah.
I don't see a spa. That's not, I was just like, okay.
Yeah.
So I was like, let me think about it. I went home. I prayed about it, of course. And then I said, you know what? I'm going to have to give up something to do this because I already know I'm going to have to start all the way over. I have no clientele. These people probably aren't going to follow me from Clear Lake
Right.
way over here. So I asked my mom, could I come back and live with her, because I'm going to have to pay this lady booth rent, and I couldn't afford rent and that.
Hmm.
That's what people always, they miss that part of my story when I
Right.
tell this, that I moved back home with my mom. Everybody
Yes.
wants to be a boss, but
Right.
I literally had to sacrifice. And in my head, I thought, I'm going to live with my mom for 6 months. 6 months. That's funny. 6 months. And things were going, I was going to be popping after that. Then I'm
Yeah.
going to buy my house, all this. I lived with my mom for 5 years. Okay? 5 years is how long I stayed with my mom. At that point, so about the 3rd year, it wasn't by force. It was by choice. At
Right.
that point, I was like, I'm not leaving. I'm making so much money. I'm helping my mom. I'm leaving when my husband come and get me, okay? Because there's no reason that I need to be on my own now,
Right.
when doing this. So anyway, my mom said I can come back. And when I say things just fell in place, like from the moment I moved back home, it's like I met a guy. Well, she knew a guy that she used to work for at his hair salon. He so happened to have an esthetician bed and a facial machine that he sold to me for $500. A bed and a machine. $500.
What a steal.
You see what I'm saying? And then she gave me 3 months free of rent until I started, making money or whatever. And in my head at that moment, my goal was, I just want to be able to pay this girl booth rent. So I think that's character. That was my goal. It wasn't, I just want to have, of course I had my goal, like, I'm going to get a house and da-da-da. But I said, if all else fails, every week, I just want to be able to pay this girl her $150, even if I have a client or not. And that's what happened. Like, sometimes she wouldn't even see me for a whole week because I wouldn't have a client. But on Friday, I would be there with $150.
Wow. So before we continue, right, I just want to say, if you're an entrepreneur or you're trying to be an entrepreneur and you live by yourself and you're kind of struggling with the money in your business, move back home if you can. And if you can't move back home, get a roommate, right? Find a way to get your expenses cut, because when you do that, now that's going to help you to have more money to really move forward with your business. I just wanted to touch on that real quick.
Yeah.
What a story. You started your business. How did you get your first few clients? Like, what was your marketing strategy, I guess?
So I always joke and say that I prostituted my business because I did Groupon, Living Social, Buy With Me, Get Groovy. Some of these things don't even exist anymore.
Right.
But I was on there. I remember I sold, 3,000 Groupon coupons. And I did everybody except 25. 25 people didn't show.
You did
at that
2,975.
Yeah, well, yeah. Yeah.
You know, I'm an accountant, so I got to
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So you sold 3,000 facials and did 2,975 of them yourself. In what time span?
Probably it was in a year.
Wow.
Yeah, it was within a
year.
Yeah.
It's
I don't even
amazing.
think the year had didn't even pass, but yeah,
Right.
I did. I mean, it was crazy. And you know what? The people had told me, they was like, you may want to put a cap on this because we've seen people go out of business because they can't handle it. And I was like, nope. It's not that they can't handle it. They don't want to work. You see what I'm saying? You get that money from those Groupons back then. I don't know how it worked now, but back then we got paid up front, like we got paid for it or whatever. So even those people that never came, I still got paid for that.
Right.
So yeah, we got paid. And I feel like those people, then when the customer come in, it's like, kind of like a gift card. You've already got the money, so you kind of don't want to do it and give your all. That wasn't my attitude, man.
Yeah.
I was in there. It was so crazy. And then that retention. I remember walking the person out the room, and then my girlfriend and her client sitting there and everyone's staring at me. And I'll be like, okay, so, and then in 2 weeks, and then the person be like, no, thank you. And they'll just run out, and then I'll look all embarrassed, and then I'll just walk out back in my room. I was still kind of trying to find it. You have some people, they just wanted a coupon, and I had to get over that,
Yeah.
So I'll be like, okay, whatever. Next, just kept doing it. And I did build a clientele base. Like some of those people, well, I'll say to this day, one person still comes to me, and she has been coming to me every 2 weeks since then. She actually came to my wedding. Yes.
That's amazing.
Yes.
I was going to ask you about that, right? Because you did this 3,000 or this 2,975 people. And then with Groupon, it's a discount from the normal price. How much of a discount was it?
$16.50 is what I did that facial for. $16.50.
Wow.
Yes, is what I did that facial
How much do you
for.
charge for facial now?
For that one,
For that one, yeah.
it's 185.
Okay.
Yeah, for that facial.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the signature facial. It's 185. But I have facials that go up to 499.
I love it.
Mhm.
Wow. So 1650, and then
Mhm.
the goal was to once you finish that service was to sell them on coming back every 2 weeks. And at first you said it was kind of rough.
Oh, it was rough the whole way.
The whole way through?
Yeah.
So at what point did you get into a groove of, you know what, this is how it's going to be. This is my technique that I'm going to use to sell. Like at what point was that? Was that like after those 3,000 facials you did?
Yeah, it was like, so because that actually was my clientele, you know, going in, I was thinking I could get some of her clientele, you know, the hairstylist.
Right.
But man, I quickly learned that, you know, just because you're in a position, that's just like if I was here, you know, renting a space and you
Right.
have a clientele, just because you're in a position with someone that already have something, that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to eat. You know, that doesn't necessarily mean that, and you have to keep pushing because at the end of the day, I still had to pay her. So because her clients were saying no, I would walk over there and be like, anybody want a facial or a waxing? Those ladies, they didn't want that, you know, and I couldn't be mad at that. So I had to figure out I need to build my own clientele.
Right.
You know, I have to figure out who are the people for me because those people weren't for me, not even friends and family. You know, they supported it, but they didn't want facials like that.
Wow.
So
it's crazy that you say that because I have a similar story, right? Like I used to have a tax office inside of a homegirl's hair spot, and I'm thinking, okay, I'm gonna be in there and I'm gonna like get all her clientele, and that's not how it worked. Like they weren't trying to do their taxes; they were just trying to buy hair, right?
No, right, exactly. Like get out of my face.
Right. And I was like, how did this not work? But just the fact that you went through that experience, so it seems like you've not necessarily failures, but you've had a lot of experiences, right? Which has helped build you to where you are today.
Yeah. So, and I learned from her. Okay. So when I started seeing that those coupon clients, they weren't rebooking, and I knew they loved the service. I knew I was good at doing facials. Like I know they wasn't coming back because, you know, that they just wanted a deal. So, okay, that's not personal. I couldn't look at that. So, I asked her, I said, hey, how do you, you know, be rebooking your clients? Because I was seeing those ladies in their clockwork every week, every 2 weeks, 3 weeks, you know? And so she said, before I check them out, it's like I pull the book out and I look at the time and say, okay, so you need a relaxing, blah, 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 on this day, you know, here's what it is. And she'll book it and then do it. You make it a need. You know, you don't ask, oh, do you want to? No.
Right.
So, friend, you're going to be coming back on Thursday at 2 p.m. Right. You see how I'm shaking the head? That's the, you know.
And I'm just agreeing with you.
Exactly. You see? So that's what I did. So I was like, okay. So I started doing that.
And they would pay before. So before they would leave from that appointment, they've already booked and paid you, or a deposit at least, or something before for the next spot.
Well, back then it wasn't no deposit.
Okay.
You know, I didn't know about that. So, you know, back then it was no deposit. Okay. But, you know, I would just the phone number and all that, email, blah, 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 whatever. But yeah, I started doing that, like locking it down. And then that worked. Yeah. So I started getting people and I'll be like, okay, I had a book and I would see all the appointments. But then comes with the cancellations, the no-shows. And so I was old school. I learned this from the spa that I worked at. I would call people the day before. Hi, this is Rian with Naked Skincare and Waxing Spa. Calling to remind you of your 3 o'clock appointment, whatever. And I'll leave messages and all of that. And then some people, they would confirm and then not show. Then I started getting a lot of that. And I was like, okay, now we need to switch this up. Then it turned into, we need to put a card on file. And back then, it was $25.
Yeah.
Now, it's 50% deposit, and if you no-show, we charging the rest of the money.
Right.
No questions asked. 15 minutes late, you're getting charged everything. No questions asked.
I love it. So you had a card. Were you using like a specific software?
So back then, it was Stripe. So I had Bank of America's Clover system. Right. And it was Stripe that it went through or whatever. So it was $25. It wasn't even a deposit. It just held the card. Okay. So we're going to get to that because, you know, you just hold the card and people can put those little dummy cards on there. And
it's
then
always something.
Come on now. So, but that taught me. And the thing is with entrepreneurs, what I like to tell people, you know, you don't think of those things when you go into business. You know what I'm saying? You don't think about that. So I just thank God for me. All it takes is an experience. One time, if I touch something that's hot, or if you tell me, I'm going to learn from that, and I'm going to change the action.
Right.
So, remember, first it was the retention. So I got that. Then it was people no showing. So I'm like, okay, well, I have to implement something. Then you implemented that. And then it was the dummy cards. So then it turned into, now we need deposits.
Right.
Then, oh gosh, how can I forget, Lord? The disputes. You charged a $25 deposit, and they dispute it. So now
they'll dispute $25.
People would dispute a nickel. Okay. Folks do not like to be held accountable. Okay.
Yeah.
That's just human nature. But yes, they would definitely dispute it. And then now I'm the contract queen. Then it turned into
signing contracts now.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Now I have contracts.
I love it.
When you're putting your card down, you're, acknowledging to that deposit, and your card is being charged, all that. So now if you dispute, I'm sending stuff so fast, and then I win them.
You win.
And now I don't have that many. I can count on one hand this year of how many I had. And no.
That's amazing. And you've done all this by all the experiences, right? Like you just said. Like you can fool me once, you're not fooling me twice. Right?
No,
and now
that money.
and now I'm adjusting how I do things so that I'm going to just continue elevating.
Yes. Yes.
So it's a beautiful story. At what point did you hire your first employee?
I think year 2, maybe 2.5, 3. Because, okay, so I still stayed in that place with the young lady. I was there with her for maybe a year and a half. So maybe year 2. And then once again, I never seen it by myself. I was just kind of pushed out there. And someone was like, you really can do your own thing. I did see that. I always knew I just wanted a spa. I didn't want the hair salon, and then I just wanted my own thing. So then I found a suite, like an office space, and it had 2 rooms. And I was like, ooh, I could do what she's doing.
Yeah.
Now I could find someone to booth rent for me. And I had found a masseuse. And that girl stayed with me for about a year and a half. Man, I would say, what a time to be alive back then, because my overhead was so low. Rent was so low back then. And then the booth rent that I was getting from her pretty much like paid, everything. So I was able to save, and I had stocks, and I was just doing all just like stuff I never imagined. People put me on to things, got my credit right. I got credit cards that I never thought I would get, that whole AMX platinum. Everybody want that platinum card.
Right.
But yeah, so it was a really good time, just growth. But again, I knew I didn't want like masseuse or anything. I just, I wanted employees. So that was the first taste of somewhat of an employee. It's kind of like contract, because they were a booth renter. So booth renters kind of do their own thing. But I've always still had some type of rules in order where, you have to be a certain way here. And, it's a fine line that you have to be with those type of people. So I knew I wanted employees. So I would say year 3. Or maybe at the end of year 2, I had front desk, and then I hired another esthetician.
Nice. And then I remember before we started, you said that you had built it up to where you had about 6 people working with you.
That was, way years later. Yeah. So that first employee, I had to sue.
We're going to talk about that. we got to talk. Yeah. Let me sit up real quick.
Oh, gosh.
We're going to talk about that. Yes. So you said you built it to 6 years later.
Yes.
Or whatnot. And then, so how was it getting them all booked to 100%? Was that ever something that happened, or was it challenging? Okay.
No. Well, no. Okay, I'll take that back. Yes, it was something. So what it was my overflow of clients, or I would, push my clients off to them. Which, looking back, it was very, very hard because, people are spoiled and they wanted me. Right. And I had cultivated a clientele, and I've gotten my clients so spoiled. I have a technique that I used to do with my hands that was that's what they wanted. Right. So anybody that I put on to, it just was not working. They wanted me. And that made it very hard for me to grow or step away because even out of those 6 girls, maybe 2, and then which came down to 1 who really, kind of got it. But that's after being there for like a year or so. You see what I'm saying? It
Yeah.
takes time, you know. And then when she got her mojo, then people started, oh, I want her, or going to her. You know what
Right.
I'm saying?
Yeah.
But others, I mean, that pressure and intimidation, you know,
Mhm.
people feel some type of way when they're like, oh no, I want to go back to Ryan, or I
Right.
want, you know, and then they don't get picked. Well, I can't say I wouldn't, because when I did work for someone, you know, I ran out crying when I got fired. So, you know, I see, I get it. But
Yeah.
then I really didn't feel that, because, you know, as the owner and all that, I'm kind of like in my mojo, you know, expecting like, you all have to be like this, and
Right.
let's do this and get this, you know, forgetting that when I was that employee, it was the timid, you know, but I don't know.
Okay. So Ryan, you mentioned earlier that you had to sue an employee.
Yes.
You have to tell the eight figure focus crowd about that experience.
Okay. Well, I guess, okay, so this was one of the estheticians. Okay, so well, when I first started off with having estheticians, I started off with them being booth renters.
Okay.
So I didn't start them with being employees until maybe some years after that. So I did the whole booth renting thing with estheticians. But this was the weird thing, because I would still give you clients, and you know, everything still went through my system,
Right.
and people still like was just ungrateful. You get what I'm saying? It's like they didn't think like me. You know, I was kind of thinking like, wow, when I was with old girl, here I am.
Right.
I made the decision to pay her. It was no doubt, you know, and I figured out how to get my own clients. And then when I started getting these girls, and it's like they expected my clientele, and I felt bad, because I want you to work, you know, I want you to have people. But then hindsight, now that I think about it, it's like, that really wasn't my responsibility.
Right.
You're a booth renter, you know. So this one particular young lady, she, of course, I had a contract. I like have these contracts with all kinds of crazy stuff in it. I don't even know why people sign them back then, but because it's almost like you signing your life away. Like but hey, I have to protect my business.
You have to protect yourself. Yeah.
And so they signed, and it was like, if you quit or, you know, leave with like I can't remember what it was, then you have to pay 3 months rent. I mean, apartments do it.
Right.
Don't they? I don't know. Somebody do it, I'm sure.
So wait. So it was if they leave, just like up and leave.
Yes.
Because of them having that space.
Yes. Then they have
to.
Okay, what I did was, it was like a year contract, I believe it was. Like, I let you say if you want to do 6 months, a year, blah, blah, blah. So I believe she did a year.
Okay.
So if you're saying you're going to booth rent for this year, you know, this was the whole thing. Almost like a tenant, you know.
Right.
And so if you left before then you have to give at least 3 months rent. You have to pay that.
Okay.
To get out of the contract or whatever.
Got it.
And so, again, my whole thing is just accountability. I'm very big on accountability, you know, in the workplace, personally, everything. People need to be held accountable. And so, of course, she left.
How did she leave?
You know, it's so funny, because here I was not going to enforce the contract. Still a little weak, you know. But she just said, yeah, you know, I don't have any clients. It was slow for her, and she wasn't able to make her booth rent every week. It was something, you know, she was late and things like that. And so she was like, and I just really don't have it. I mean, she had kids. It was like this big thing. So you feel bad. And I was like, okay, was letting her out. Somehow I'm on Google. This girl done copy paste literally my whole website and created her a website. She got her whole business and renting a space somewhere else.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Got t-shirts made, hashtagging boss, then made an Instagram page. You a boss. She hashtagging boss and everything. She didn't start her whole company. Literally, the bio, I used to have my bio on my website. She literally took the bio.
She took that too?
And just added her name in there. Bio, everything, got a website. Now, this does cost money, right? It costs money to have a website, but you didn't have money to pay me. Yeah. You know, you're leaving here to go get another space, but don't think you owe this.
But I think the interesting thing about it is that she wasn't able to get clients while she was working with you, but then now she's able to get clients starting her own business.
She's not. She didn't. She didn't. Okay, she wasn't able to get clients there, and she ain't got clients now. So let's just be clear on that. That's what happens when people, you know, are bottom feeders and do things like that. So I said, you know what? Now I'm gonna have to enforce this contract because that's just not right. And I should have did that to begin with. So I filed a claim and I did, and I won. And for a period, she was paying. I think she probably. I have the paperwork and the receipts. I know how much she still owed, but to this day, she still owed, a little bit of it. But she was paying. She had to pay like monthly for that. And I remember in court, it was so funny. When I walked in, the people actually thought I was an attorney. And I was lighting her up in court. I had all the facts, everything, and the judge was just really moved, like, okay, and she was crying, of course, and saying, you don't need the money. I would never forget that. Like, this is what people think because my business was successful and all this. Like, I didn't need that. I didn't need to take that from her. Right. Like, why would you need those 3 months? And it's the principle, and you don't know what I need, Yeah. So it's because you owe it. Yeah. You signed a contract. Yeah. You're an adult. Come on, adults. You all sign contracts. That's what anything, a car, apartment, a house. Like, if you get in a contract with something, I just feel you should pay or talk to people. Set up something. I was like, you could have done $20 a week, something, but why do you think that's fair to ditch out of this, and not pay? But then you go somewhere else and pay someone else something. Right.
Do a lot of people in the beauty industry do contracts? Because I think that's something that might need to be done if people aren't doing it.
I don't think they do. Maybe now. Well, if you work for me, you probably have because
meaning like people like yourself who have their own business, like let's say hairstylists that have booth renters.
No.
I think the whole accountability thing is something that needs to.
Yeah. I'm definitely a trailblazer in that. I know I started that. Yeah. People don't usually do contracts because in this industry, to be honest, people do chair hop is what they call it, or they move around and things like that. So it's not uncommon, but like I said, I'm big on accountability. Yeah. I had to pay people, so why you don't get to pay?
Right. Let's talk about your customer service, right? Because obviously if you built your business and people have been coming to you and your company for so long, customer service is a big part of it.
Very big, yeah.
Where did that come from? I'm assuming you just have like a really genuine care for your clients.
I do.
And you love what you do so much.
I do. And so I joke and I say, and this, I'll be like, I think maybe in my past life I was a slave because I have like this spirit of service. Like I'm just very like, yes, yeah, I'm very like that with people. I love to serve, So that's where I think it really comes from. I'm here to help. I want to serve you. I want to tend to your needs. Like that is my thing. And I think in this industry or anything with customer service, you have to have that. You ever know, like even working at Walmart, Target, anywhere, and you ever seen that employee that's just really so helpful? You have some people you're like, oh, can you show me this? And they're like, oh, it's that, they're not interested. I don't work over there. But then you'll have someone that's like, yeah, I'll walk you over there and doing that. And you just like, wow, that is what you just have to have a spirit of service. And I think that's where it came from with me. I do enjoy doing facials and being an esthetician, but I love educating clients on things, in this field and serving them. I love it.
I love that. So I know you probably have been through a situation like all of the rest of us, right? Whether you are in taxes, you do people's taxes, you do people's credit, or you cut hair or style hair. You get really good at what you do and you build up a clientele, but then you start to burn out. And now it's time to bring people in like you've done. But then there might be a fear of that person may not want to go to someone else. How'd you overcome that?
You have to train the client. And so that's what I had to do. It was, at first, again, that timidness, like, do you mind? Do you want to go? Or we're going to put you telling them. Then it got to the point where it's just, you just put them on their calendar, and it's like, Ryan isn't available. And then I have to start saying, Ryan isn't taking any more old clients. She's only taking new clients. So that's where that was. And that's so funny because people are like, how you gonna not take old clients? Like, what? How you gonna ditch us like that? So yeah, it was like that. Like, no, I'm not doing that anymore.
Did that raise any hell at the beginning?
It did, man. Yeah. I got a little kickback, and I got some people that stopped coming. And I always thought that was very weird. I just want to say this. I think that's the weirdest thing when people You know, if you go to a barbershop or wherever and you can't get the person that you like, and then you leave there and go somewhere else, aren't you going to a new person somewhere else? See, that's that whole common sense thing. You know, it's
Right.
like
Right.
I never understood that. It's like you're gonna still have to find a new person somewhere
Mm-hmm.
else. You would leave this business. At this business, you're still supporting me by,
Right.
going to a different person.
Yeah.
So when people would get such, just up and they would leave, they just didn't want that person. And then some people, they did have reason. I had to
Mm-hmm.
have that talk with some employees because it was
Mm-hmm.
just like, okay, this person just is not good at all.
Right.
Attitude, anything. So,
Right.
and that's not good.
Yeah, I think for a lot of clients, from my experience, it looks like they'll go to someone else just as long as they're going to have an equal experience, right? And that's one of the hardest things in what we do, like making sure that your employees can duplicate what you do,
Yes.
or at least come close,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
So I can see, but that dials in the whole training thing, right? Not only training your clients, but also training the employees. I know you said that you have a training program.
I do. So I have a script. So we have protocols that's in each room. I literally have typed out all of the facials.
Oh,
So
wow.
when I tell you I make it so easy for people, I swear I'm almost like, listen, I'm giving it to you all. I have the whole script of how you are supposed to greet the client from the front to the time you put them in the room, looking them in the eye, saying the whole script. Like, you walk it down and say everything to where they're gonna buy what you're selling if you say my script. So I have that, and then the protocols are all written out. So you just have to know the basics, which you should have learned in school. Is skin, and I always say, listen with your eyes and your ears. The client, they have forms that they fill out, before they come. So I mean, we literally ask everything other than your blood type. So it's like, I should know everything before you come. You get what I'm saying? So you study that, you read that. This is, of course, being of service. You get ready before this appointment.
Wow.
So when you come in, I've already known, hey, Ephraim, so you found us on Instagram. Okay, awesome. And then I see here that you are oily. Why do you feel you're oily? Then you give me the answer. Then I have a rebuttal for that. I have that all written down in the script. So it's like, you're listening. First of all, I'm listening with my eyes because I'm looking at your skin. You say you're oily, but I'm going to check that out for myself.
Right.
And then I'm asking you, what is it that you need? So if you say you don't want to leave here all greasy and all that, why would I put products that's going to do that? And I had to explain that to employees. You listen to them and give them what they want. That's what's going to make them come back. Again, going back to like that whole doctor's office thing. If I go in the doctor because I have a stomach ache, but he gives me something for a headache, I'm never going to come back to him.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So that
Common
is my
sense,
script.
right?
Hello. So, that is my script of how I, like the bedside manner. So people are just, they're sitting there and they're like, they're looking up and they're like in awe, but I'm just like, you said this. You told me that you wanted a cleanser. Like, we asked all of this. So what products do you feel like you're missing? Someone's like, oh, a cleanser. Yeah, that's about the only thing. So I'm like, okay, so then why, when they come out, they have a whole set of products? That's not what they said they wanted. They said a cleanser. Now, looking, of course, if you see otherwise, then you have to explain that. I know you said a cleanser, but based off what I'm seeing, it doesn't seem like the exfoliation is working for you. I'm going to also recommend this, but we'll leave this on your notes just in case you don't want to get that. So if you call, it'll be here for you. Okay.
She's done this a lot.
I know, it's
has me
very
sold.
robotic. You see? And then I was like, okay, you got to do that. And then you set it up like, okay, so in 3 weeks, I'd like to see you back and we're going to do this and blah, blah, blah. I no longer have to rebook them. So I have a front desk that does that. But before, when I would go out, it would be, okay, so as I mentioned, we want to recap. As I mentioned before, in 3 weeks, I want to see you. Wednesday, June 3rd. Is that a good time for you? That's what I'm saying. I'm not giving you the option. I gave you a date. So you tell me, is that good? If that's not, then what about 2 o'clock? So you're stuck there in that appointment. I created a need. I made it important. You came to me with a problem and said you wanted this, right? So this is why you need to come back and do this so we can assist you. Simple. So that is my script, and that's how I train. And some people, of course, they'll get in the room. they may get scared to, say it. I'm like, don't try to say it like me. You have to find your own
Find your own
mojo,
person,
joke, and it's just asking questions. You get what I'm saying?
Mm.
You're there to serve. The person is literally giving you the answer. They're here for a problem. You see what I'm saying? It's not like you're going on the street or anything. These people have come to us already. Ask them what they want and give that to them.
Yeah.
I think it's so simple.
Yeah.
I don't know. I wish I knew. Well, maybe not. I was gonna say I wish I knew this before I got fired, but maybe not, because then I wouldn't be
You wouldn't
here.
be
But
sitting in the
hey.
seat, right? So recurring revenue is a big part of your business.
Yes.
Right? And for those of you watching, if you don't have recurring revenue in your business right now, you need to figure out a way to get that, right? Because it helps you to plan your money like month after month after month. If you understand that, okay, based upon the amount of memberships or people that are going to pay me every single month for next year, I can forecast and say, okay, I have $15,000 coming in for this month, just off that alone, which can take care of like your rent, your employees, and a bunch of other things, versus just every day you're selling something, and now you're pretty much just waking up and hopefully, hoping that your marketing is hitting and your sales strategy is hitting and you're making money, right? But the recurring revenue model, I think, is an amazing model. And I'm assuming you used to use Stripe back in the day. Do you still use Stripe now?
No. So what do we have? It's through our booking system. So our booking system now comes with the POS system and things like that. So Stripe I had to get rid of because with those disputes, they didn't have my back.
Right.
Those we would lose those, and I just didn't like that.
Yeah. We're gonna talk about the disputes, but we're definitely gonna talk about that a little bit. But so with the POS system that you're using now, it's as simple as you set them up in the system, and then now you can plan the date that it's going to hit their card. Or
if we did a membership, I no longer do that. So we did have, I wouldn't say a membership, but it was like I used to have. Well, I still kind of do that with the Acne Academy facial, but I used to have with that signature facial. If they come every 2 weeks, they get it at a certain price. And then we did have something with waxing, like we had an unlimited wax plan, and that was, you put your card, you sign the contract, of course, and whatever day you sign up, the money would come out in that. I found just at this moment, memberships and things just doesn't work for us. So I stopped that. But now with this POS system, everything can be done online when you book your appointment. All the forms, which I done by hand, I created all my forms. I have a COVID form. I have a cancellation policy form. I have a photo release form. I have the facial or the wax or the chemical peel, whatever service form. And I think those are all my forms. People always be like, you ask everything other than my blood type. Literally, I was like filling forms out. But yeah, so we have the form so it generates that. Like whatever service you choose, it'll generate, all those forms for you, what you need to fill out. And then you put your card in, deposit, and that's that. And then the card is saved on there. And then, like we said, we have that 15-minute grace period. At the 16-minute, the system, it charges your card the rest of the money. And that is it. Or if you cancel, the same day or less than 24 hours, it charges the rest of the money, and that's that.
Wow. I know you've had to have at least a couple crazy client experiences, right?
Yes.
Being in business for so long, over a decade. Can you think of one or two experiences that were like out of this world? Like, why did I go through that? I hope I'm not bringing back any bad memories. I hope not.
I'm trying to see which. Oh my God. Okay, let's start with this one. Okay, so this young lady, her sister was coming to us, and then I believe her sister got her a gift certificate or something. So her very first time coming, which is crazy, the day that our spa manager was getting fired. So it kind of like tore up the whole day because, that was going on. It was a lot going on that day. Another esthetician had called out. So it just kind of put things behind. So unfortunately, her first experience, it wasn't good. I acknowledged that. I actually gave her a free service. The next time we rebooked, kept apologizing. Thank you so much for your patience. We're going to, give you a complimentary service the next time you book with us. She liked that. She accepted it, rebooked. Okay, second time, came in, got the service. Great. Um, third time, I believe she rebooked. Well, she didn't rebook that second time. She kind of just booked on her own. A couple of months or so after. She came in and she got a particular facial. Once the facial was being done on her, she mentioned that she was kind of burning or something like that. She did mention that she was using some type of topical product that, of course, did not work with these ingredients. And you'll get that clients will lie or they won't be honest with things. Oh God, that brought me back on another client. But yeah, clients will, they won't tell the truth of things that they're using or what they're doing. And so she was told like, oh, it'll be fine. It's just a reaction because of what you're doing, whatever. She goes home. Of course, it's the weekend. Her face started to peel or have a reaction. It is said everywhere on the website, when you leave and check out, we say if there's any problems, you email us, call us during business hours, and we can assist. Otherwise, if it's too crazy, just like a doctor, what do they tell you? Call 911 or go to the hospital. So she goes to the Instagram page, the business Instagram page, which we do not conversate and, do that through DM. Then she found an employee's Instagram page, one of the estheticians. So she's calling me on a Sunday, my employee, and I'm like, hello, what is going on? And she's like, such and such is calling, and she's DMing me and saying all this stuff. Her face is whatever, and she wants somebody to talk to right now. Then she finds my personal page. She's in my DMs. And so I say, hi, this is my personal page. I do not conduct business with naked. You get what I'm saying? Because see, y'all are not about to run me crazy. You see what I'm saying? No. So, and I say, please send photos and all of that to the spa email, call them during business hours. Someone will get a hold to you. At that time, which we still are, we were closed on Monday. So Tuesday is when, you're going to whatever. She's still in the inbox. She ignored what I said and said something else to me. You need to talk to me now and blah, blah, blah. I ignored it. Monday come, she's back in my DMs. We ignored it. Come Tuesday, I don't believe I was at work that day, but I get a call from the employees. They said this lady then stormed in the place. They have clients, and she's cussing and screaming, saying she wants a refund. Her face is burnt and all of this and blah, blah, and we did a chemical peel on her and blah, blah, and I'm like, okay, this is nuts. So anyway, fast forward, she goes, of course, and just writes bad reviews about us and says that we put a chemical peel and burnt her face, and she disputed it. So now you get a free service. You got a service, and you dispute that charge. Mind you, that employee, they call me. So I get on the phone and I'm like, hi. She says, oh, and Ryan was running from me and blah, blah, blah. It's like, this is a whole business with an open sign. You came right in, when we're open. No one is running because we didn't do anything. Right. We told you something to do, but you didn't want to follow our procedures. You wanted us to talk to you immediately through DM. Like this was some backyard, like I'm a I don't know, but that's, I have a real business. So the employee gave her some samples. We said, we assure you, you're going to be fine. The skin is going to shed. It's going to be beautiful. We gave you the samples. Use this for a week. In a week, we're going to call you and see how it is. I already know the skin look great. You didn't got these free products and use them. In a week, we call this lady and she says, we're like, oh, so how's the sample? She's like, everything's fine. And I'm like, okay, can you send us pictures or would you like to come back in so we can take a look and all this? She's like, no, I'm just going to go see my dermatologist, but whatever. Hang the phone up. And then you go on to dispute it and write these bad reviews. When we try to assist, this is what, what I'm saying, we have to deal with someone. It's like, that was wrong. And no one's freely giving out chemical bills are expensive. You know what I'm saying? And the contracts that I have, the forms that you have to sign, you have to agree to that, So to do that because you didn't get your way, because someone didn't talk to you through DMs, this is the things we go through with some clients. They feel entitled if you don't respond personally to them, then, it's a problem. And that was one of those situations.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was just very unfortunate.
a customary question that I always ask everybody when they come on the
Mm-hmm.
show is, how has knowing your numbers helped impact your business?
Um, Greatly, because so at one point, especially having people that work with you, you're not really like counting the 4x4s, the cotton balls.
Mm-hmm.
You don't know like, okay, it takes this much of lotion or whatever to do a facial. I didn't. That's one of those business things they don't tell you.
Right.
I'm just trying to get this whole like the contracts and all of those things. So I didn't know, and then when I got a CPA and started seeing that, and it's like, whoa, okay, wait a minute now. We
Yeah.
don't have to count those squares and be mindful of
Yeah.
how much we're using and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
But it really helped, because like some years I was like, wow, I made that, or whatever.
Yeah.
Where is it going, or where did it go?
Yeah.
And then sometimes you can look back and see like, okay, well, this month was slow, or this is the
Mm-hmm.
month that we need to do more marketing or do whatever.
Right.
So it really does help.
Oh, that's good. I always tell everybody, obviously I'm a CPA, right? But you got to know your numbers, because if you don't, you're just going through this business journey blindly,
Mm-hmm.
right? Like you have no idea. And you might actually be tripping about certain things, but then when you look at the numbers, you're like, you know what? The reason why it's slow is because it's the summertime,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yes,
It's the
yes.
summertime and everyone's traveling. Their kids are out of school, they're traveling. But now that it's August and the kids are back in school, my numbers have gone back up. So it's really good to like keep on top of the trends and on top of your data. It's gonna really help you out in business.
Mm-hmm.
This has been a great interview. This
Thanks.
has been good.
It has.
You brought so much energy, and I really appreciate it. You did want to give us another story, client story.
Which one?
And I hope I'm not
Lord?
triggering you with these
No,
requests.
no. I'm trying to see what can be short. Lord have mercy. Well, just a summary or whatever, or just like, kind of the main thing, I guess, with clients have always been that getting charged.
Yeah.
I've had someone that threatened to come up and spit in the front desk face because, yes, she was charged the cancellation policy or whatnot. And, they don't like it, of course.
Mhm.
And, yeah, that was that. So that's pretty much
She
the
never
nature
came
of it.
though.
No, thank God.
Thank God.
Yeah, I actually haven't had any client that's been really just like irate or anything like that. It's been just verbal over the phone
Yeah.
or saying something. But yeah.
I need to ask you this question too. What percentage of your clientele are men?
I would say maybe like 15%.
That's not a bad number.
Yeah.
How important do you think it is for men to get facials?
It's very important. Men need self-care. And it's so crazy because usually the men, their wife would like bring them there, like I'm doing their wife, and then their wife will tell them to come. And then men don't expect it. They get in the room and they're just like, oh, I gotta take my shirt off? Or, and then it's like, yeah. And it's like, oh, I'm getting a facial. It's like, yeah, I know. And so, and then when I start, like afterwards, you get the same reaction from a man. It's always like, wow, like you all need that TLC, they're like big babies. They love getting pampered and just, and I like that, it is important because y'all will, the same body rag you use for your face. And I mean, hey, you need to do better.
No, definitely. I just started doing facials like recently.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, you have?
I gotta come see you. Yes.
It's always, I gotta come see you. Another thing to entrepreneurs, that's a big thing. I swear, people will know what you do. And this is not towards you, but I'm just letting y'all know now. Don't take it personal when you start your business and do all that. But you will see people on Instagram, and every time they see you, every picture you post, everything is always like, I gotta come see you. Oh yeah, I'm gonna come. Shut up. My books was open all last week and your tail was not there. Cut it out. And you see what happened? Oh, I gotta come see you. Probably got a package somewhere. Like, cut it out.
It just always seems like the right thing to say, right?
Yeah. It's like,
but no,
don't take
like
it personal.
Everything that you said was so accurate, right? Because my wife just started taking the whole, like she's been into the whole skin routine, but like during the pandemic was when she really had the time to really sit down and watch YouTube videos and really just get really more into it. And then she found someone that she would go to and she was like, hey, you need to experience this or whatever. And I was like, you know what? I pride myself as being open to new experiences, right? And that was what happened. You know, you go in, they tell you to take your shirt off, put a robe on or whatnot, or not a robe, but you're underneath the cover,
Covers, yeah.
and then they're giving you the facial, and like I fell asleep.
Yeah, it happens.
It happens.
Yeah. So I take it
And I
you're
felt so
liking it.
embarrassed. Yeah, I was like, I fell asleep. I'm over here snoring on, you know, and
Mhm.
she's like, no, it's okay or
Yeah.
whatnot. But it gave me, because, you know, as an entrepreneur, your mind is always racing.
Yeah.
And that's one of the few times that you actually have time to just like relax and just like be serene or whatnot, you know. But she did me just how you do everybody else, right? She was like, hey, so you're coming back a month from now on.
Yep.
Like, so she read.
Did she work for naked? No, I'm kidding.
Possibly. But but yeah, she did that whole thing, and you know, literally every month. So man, it's definitely an experience, and I would encourage more men to go.
Of course.
You know.
Funny thing, that percentage, so it may be a little higher, but I'm gonna say 15%. But a lot of men, they come for Brazilian waxing. Yes, we get a lot of men for waxing, butt wax, back wax, and Brazilian waxing. So
wow,
yeah.
I didn't even know that was a thing for.
It is a big thing.
I did not know. Okay, okay.
Yeah.
So it's not just facials; like they get like a whole host of different services. Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then, like, have you had any issues with your men clients?
No, you know, y'all are pretty chill.
Yeah.
Y'all just
and loyal, I would think.
like dogs. Yes, they are, like, seriously. Men are pretty just like easygoing. You know, it's just like, oh whatever, my wife, she'll book whatever, you know. So no real issues like that.
That might be a marketing strategy.
Right?
That might be a marketing strategy. No, this has been good. I know a lot of people in the beauty industry will appreciate this.
I hope so.
Because I have friends that are hairstylists and estheticians, and they always vent, you know, about all the things that they go through.
I can imagine. And
you shared a nice amount of things, so I'm sure that they can relate to that.
I hope so.
Yes, tell everybody where they can find you online.
So at www.nakedskinandwax.com. We're at Naked Skincare and Wax and Spa, 3005 West Loop South, Suite 229. Also on Instagram, Naked Skincare and Wax and Spa on Instagram. And then Naked Skin and Wax on Twitter and Facebook. And again, you can book online. We also take walk-ins. You can call us at 832-330-0497. And our motto is go naked or tell someone else to.
I love it. I appreciate you for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes. This is another classic episode of A Figure Focus, and until next time.